What's up guys? Today I'm going to go over my top baits that I use during the fall to catch bass. Now some of these baits I use throughout the winter. I work them differently. Some of them I only use in the fall. But today I'm going to cover with you the baits that I've been using and I'll be using during the fall and the fall transition to catch bass. And I'm also going to give you some tips, tell you how to fish these baits. And I'm going to add some extra commentary in behind the video that I left out and give you guys some extra tips also. Now, by fall bite, let me describe what I mean exactly. So last year we didn't really have a fall bite here in South Georgia. It never really got cold until like December, Lake Seminole, the grass was still topped out. So those bass, I didn't see that they went into a fall bite pattern. And by fall bite pattern, I mean they were up schooling, chasing bait fish on top of the water. The crankbait bite was on fire. You know, you get into them schooling, they're fat, and you catch 3 or 4 or 5 real quick. That never really happened last year because it didn't get cold until like December or January. So this year, I'm already seeing the patterns. We're already getting on a crankbait bite. If you hadn't seen my last couple videos, oh my God, oh, it is. Oh, he's big. You'll see it in the last couple of videos. We're catching tanks with crankbaits. It's so awesome. This is my favorite time of the year to catch bass because I just love crankbait fishing. But I also want to tell you guys, my buddy started this shirt line. It's called Southern Angler Co. It's a dry fit shirt, pretty light, pretty lightweight, awesome for fishing. Check the back of it out. He's got an Instagram page though. Here's the Instagram link for him if you want these shirts, and we're also giving one away. So comment your shirt size down below and tell me what kind of video you want to see next. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll be giving one of these shirts away in a few weeks once everybody has had time to watch the video. So make sure you check back to see if you've won. I'm also going to reply with a comment on the winner once we do the giveaway. Guys, I hope you enjoy this video. Let's go. All right guys, so this is the Fritz side crankbait by Berkley. It dives 6 to 8 feet depending on what kind of line you got on here. And you see it's got a unique bill on it. It's a narrow bill, and the way it's designed is to make that bait have a really tight wobble. You also see it's flat-sided. During this fall transition, I tend to move towards flat-sided baits because the bait fish aren't moving as active as they are in the summer, and they flutter really fast. So I'm trying to imitate that. The bait fish, whenever they run, they have a little tighter wobble. They don't, you know, make all the quick darts like a broke-back Rapala, for instance. In the summertime, you know, I'll throw a broke-back Rapala or even a diving crankbait. But in the wintertime, I really like these flat-sided crankbaits, and I get a lot of bites when I throw this crankbait, and I reel it just slow enough to where I can feel that thing vibrating. Oh yeah, that's a good cast there. That's gonna get. Oh, there he is. There he is. Second cast, baby. Second cast. Yeah, he is. No, no. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Is he even on there? It's a dink. His blinding one eye, guys. First fish, we are on the board. Check him out, check him out, check him out. Woo, he's so skinny. It's probably why he's so skinny, because he's blind as shit. So the way I like to work this bait, and it dives 6 to 8 feet, so I typically throw it where it's about 8 to 10 foot deep, and I'm searching for structure with it. So I'll throw past the structure and then like reel up to it and try to bump it really slow. I don't want to throw this bait in shallow water and just straight dig the bottom with it. And whenever you come up on the structure, depending on if you're using fluorocarbon or mono, and depending on your rod, depends on how you got to pull it through that structure. If you got like 12-pound monofilament on there, you could probably just reel it pretty fast through that structure and it's going to pop through there. But if you got fluorocarbon, especially some stiffer fluorocarbon, you're really going to have to slow down coming to that structure to pull that bait through there and not get it hung up. Because a lot of people throw a crankbait and they're like, oh, that's going to get hung up on all the tree limbs and everything. But that's the whole point of fishing a crankbait, is to throw it and bump the tree limbs with it. So the way these things are designed it's got a lip on it. When this thing comes to the water, it's like it's diving down like that. So when it comes up on a limb, it'll hit that limb like that. And if you pull it right, it'll pop over that limb and then it'll keep on swimming. All right, so right now I'm gonna throw like parallel to this dock. So there's probably a big bass hanging out under that dock. So anytime I see a dock, I like to get parallel to it and just kind of reel that bait right in front of the dock, really slow. And hopefully he comes out and gets it. Sometimes he does, oh, that's the bottom. See guys, I was hung up. I thought it was a fish and I set the hook instead of continuing to reel it really slow like I should have to pull it through there. Now guys, another thing I want to point out about this bait, it's really a shad imitator. So I fish this bait any lakes or any body of water that has a lot of shad, and that's a big food source for those bass. So let's say if I was fishing a pond that didn't have any shad and shiners, I probably wouldn't throw this bait. Oh, he missed it. All right, so I just had a bite, reeling it really slow like that. And whenever I get a bite and I miss it, I like to pause it for a second and then either jerk it or start reeling it. And a lot of times it'll come back and hit it. But if you see what I was doing there, I was just reeling it really slow, super slow, just slow enough where I can barely feel that bait fluttering back and forth. And in the middle of that, he come up and tagged it. So a lot of times those bass will be sitting on top of a brush pile. And even if you don't bump the brush pile or the structure down there the fish is hiding in, they'll come out from it and they'll grab that bait and then try to go back in it. This bait dives 8 foot. Let's say it's 8 foot deep and a brush pile comes up 3 foot off the bottom. I don't want to throw something that dives 8 foot deep because then I'm going to be digging the bottom up to that brush pile. I want to throw something that's going to dive 3 foot off the bottom. So I want to throw something that dives 5 foot deep, 5 to 6, where I can just bump the top of that brush pile or structure or whatever's down there. And I mean, you can throw this thing in just open water too, not a round structure. You don't have to be a round structure to throw it. I catch a lot of fish with this thing just open water throwing. And here's another little tip. This thing dives 8 foot deep. So, this thing dives 8 foot deep. So if I'm throwing, I know up here by the bank, it's shallow. It's probably like 4 foot deep. So instead of holding my rod tip down to try to get that bait to go down deeper, I will hold my rod tip up to keep it from going deeper. Oh, I missed it. If I'm crankbait fishing, I don't know where fish are on the fish finder, I'm just scanning water, I just fan cast about every 15 foot and then move on to the next area. Or if I know there's fish in that bait, I pick this bait up and I fan cast and throw it and I can't get a reaction out of the fish, I might pick up something different like I'm going to show you guys here in a minute. So right now I don't feel this thing bumping the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my rod tip down and put it in the water to get a little bit extra depth. And if I do feel it start to bump the bottom like that, and I know I'm just digging bottom, I'll lift my rod tip up just a little bit to where that thing's just barely hovering over the bottom. Oh yeah, that's the cast right there. Oh, that's her. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's her. Oh yeah. Stay down, stay down. Stay down. Oh, nope, don't you go in that dock. Come over here. So you couldn't see it in the video, but I threw next to that dock over there like I was talking about earlier, and right at the beginning of the retrieve, that bass come out from under that dock and he grabbed it. Stay down now. You guys see I'm holding my rod tip down in the water. I've got my rod like halfway in the water because I'm trying to keep that fish from jumping. A lot of times when you hook a fish with a crankbait, he might only have one hook in him or be barely hooked. So it's really important to keep that fish from jumping because he can shake the hook very easily. Oh yeah. Hoo, 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 hoo. Oh, no, he's got one hook in him.
One hook.
All right, you ready? Ready? Here we go. Yes! Got it.
All yours.
Redemption from the one I missed the other night. All right, I put a tank in a boat. Yes! I caught that with the 7 diver, the Frat by Berkley. I was working it just like I was telling you guys, just reeling it really slow. Threw it there by the dock. So another one of my fall baits is this ripping wrap right here. Now I will use the 1/2 ounce ripping wrap also, but this is a 7/8 ripping wrap. It falls faster. and you can reel that thing and get some really wide kicks out of it if you reel it really slow. But if you're fishing shallow water, you gotta reel it fast. But the reason that I like this big one is because normally when one grabs it, it's a bigger fish. Usually I would throw this bait on fluorocarbon. I have braid on this rod right now, which I was using to flip in the summertime. So what I did, I just put a 5-foot monofilament leader on there. And I'm using a green leader because this is green water, low vis green. And the reason I went with a monofilament leader instead of a fluorocarbon leader, because monofilament has stretch to it. So this braid doesn't have any stretch, and this rod is a medium heavy with a moderate fast tip. So it's kind of stiff, and if I hook a fish, you guys see this thing has got really small hooks on it here. So that monofilament adds some stretch to absorb the shock of the fish and keep from pulling those hooks out. And the way I fish this thing depends. Later in the winter, I'll fish a lot slower. But right now in the fall transition, I've been working it really fast and then kind of slowing down, then speeding it up and slowing it down. And sometimes I get the bites actually yo-yoing this thing as well. And with it being a flat-sided lipless crankbait, when you throw it out, if you let it have a completely slack line, that thing will flutter down almost like a spoon. And a lot of times they'll hit that thing on the fall. So I like pull it up and then give it a slack line to let it fall. And if there's a bunch of muck and grass and stuff on the bottom, I'll let it fall to where it almost hits the bottom, but not quite. See, like that. If there's that stuff on the bottom, I'll try not to let it hit the bottom. But this is a flat-sided Rapala ripping wrap. And color varies on the body of water I'm fishing. If it's cloudy, I like to use white. If there's a bunch of shad, I like to use white. If it's sunny, bluebird skies, I like to use something with some shine on it. Another reason I like using this ripping wrap, 7/8, because I can launch it. I can get a lot more distance out of it. I can cover a lot more water. I can throw it halfway across the lake. I mean, it weighs almost an ounce. So right here where I'm throwing the 7/8 ounce ripping wrap, there's a hump where the bass come on and off of to feed, and I threw it out and I'm giving it just a pretty steady retrieve, and then in just a minute you're gonna see I give it a pull there, and then I catch up. Oh, there he is. Now let's watch that one more time. You see what I'm doing with the steady retrieve, and then I give it that pull, and then I catch up, and what that caused the bait to do was almost a delayed effect. It kind of paused in a minute for the water, it slowed down, and it may have fell just a little bit, and then whenever I went to continue reeling, that bass grabbed it. Oh, there he is. Oh, there's a tank. Toady roady, toady roady, toady. Oh. Drags too tight, drags too tight. Oh, I spit it, dadgummit. Well, guys, I just missed a tank with the ripping wrap. So another one of my fall baits is the black trick worm. Really, it's not a fall bait, it's a all year long bait. Sometimes I'll fish it differently. Usually in the winter time I'll put a smaller weight on and work a lot slower. And right now I've got a 1/4 ounce weight. This is a 2-aught round bend hook, and I've got 10-pound copolymer on here. So that copolymer has got a little bit of stretch to it, more than fluorocarbon, and it gives that worm a little bit more action whenever you pull it up, pop it over a log. The stiffer the line, the less stretch, and it doesn't create that slingshot effect when you pull it up or you hop it. Later in the winter I'll switch to full fluorocarbon when they want it really, really slow. I also want to point out, guys, that I have my weight pegged because I'm fishing timber right now. I'm throwing at the timber and pulling it through the timber. Another advantage of having the weight pegged is it doesn't pull up as much grass. So I have a round bend hook. If I was fishing grass, I would use a flipping hook or something with a straight shank. That way, with nothing pointing out of that bait, there's nothing for the grass or the muck or the dying algae, whatever's in your area, to get caught on. And if it does get caught on a little bit of grass or you get a little bit of muck, you can fill it on there. I'm going to show you a trick later in the video to get it off without ruining your whole retrieve. So what I'm doing here, I threw it right at the bank, and there's a bunch of sunken timber right there at the bank, and the timber comes out towards the boat. So with that 1/4 ounce weight in this deep water, it goes down through that timber, it hits the bottom, and you see here I'm pulling it up. I just popped it over a limb or a piece of timber, and then I let it fall back down, and I pull it up, and I just popped it over again, and then I let it fall back down. Oh, that was a bite. Get the hook in him. Get the hook in him.
Damn sure I set the hook on that last one. So like, nah. First one got away from me. Second one, no. Good?
I don't know. Nah, he's a dink. He's fighting good though for a dink. I do got like 10-pound test on here. Yeah, it'll be a mess pulling a big one out in the sticks. Another one of my top fall baits. It's pretty much like the other one I showed you. It's just a shallower diver. This is the Fritz Side 5 by Berkley, and it looks like a shad, about the same size as a shad in here. I really like the eye pattern on these things. Black eye with a little bit of red around it. It's got that dot imitated shad. You see it's got the gold back on it. It's like a threadfin shad, have kind of a gold back, brownish color. This is a flat-sided. It's got a tighter wobble, and it's got a flat bill on it. It's got a small, narrow bill, and that allows that bait to flutter real quick back and forth in the water. It doesn't have a real wide wobble, and it works really good this time of the year. The reason I have the shallow diver though is because whenever I see them coming up, schooling, jumping on top of the water, or I know they're shallower in the water column, they're feeding on shad, I can throw this thing and normally I can get a bite. Let's see if we can catch one. We had just seen a school of shad that the bass chased up to the top of the water and were feeding on, so that's why I chose to pick up this shallow diver here that dives 3 foot. And you see the first cast here, I'm reeling pretty slow and giving a steady retrieve, and then the second cast here, I throw it out and I'm just burning that thing in, and then wham. Oh, there he is. He nailed it. He nailed it. Trying to keep him down. Feels like a good one too. Almost drag. He nailed it. I was one of them about yanked the pole out of my hands.
Oh yeah.
He's big, boys. All right, we're gonna bring him to the net. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Yes, yes. God, that thing is fat.
Yeah, that's a slab there.
I think she's about 4.5. She's got a tiny mouth. Another one of my fall baits is the Biospawn Vile Bug. Catchco makes the Biospawn Vile Bug, and you can find these at Carl's Bait and Tackle online, which I'm going to put the link to that in the description down below. This is really one of my favorite baits to use all year round. I've caught some big bass with it. Now back in the summer I was using this thing with a heavy weight, probably a 3/4 to an ounce. I was punching through thick grass. Now it's fall, that grass is dying off, and I've switched down to either a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce. Here I'm using a 1/4 ounce and a 3/0 flipping hook, and I have the weight pegged. So if you watch, you'll see that I'm pulling up a little bit of grass with that, but every time I do hook a little bit of grass, most of the time I can shake that rod and I can shake that grass off. And what I'm doing exactly here is I'm throwing it out near these docks because there's a bunch of bluegill and shellcracker near these docks, and I'm just kind of pulling it and working it up and then letting it fall and pulling it up and letting it fall, and then whenever I get grass on there, I'll try to pop it out that grass and continue my retrieve. Oh, that was a bite. Is he on there? Oh, my line broke. I set the hook too hard on him. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave some feedback and tell me if you want to see more informational videos like this. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up. We'll see you next time.